Okay, this video will cover how to create a sandbox for IdentityIQ 8.4 on Linux system, Red Hat 9.1, using Java 11, OpenJDK, also Tomcat 9, and MySQL 8. There's also a connector that you need to download. The download instructions are part of the video. One thing to note before you start, you will have to have access Encompass in order to get the zip file for IdentityIQ 8.4.
Let's go over the OSs and databases in Java that is supported. We are installing IdentityIQ 8.4. We're not doing the cloud. We are on premise. We're going to be using MySQL 8.0. We're using Red Hat 9.1, Tomcat 9.0, and OpenJDK 11. You can get the ISO for Red Hat by creating an account at Red Hat Developers or developer.redhat.com. Once you get signed in, you'll be able to get a free subscription for 60-day trials. Go to download and signups. That's where you get the software, and it's on the very bottom. 9.1 is not here anymore for some reason. I'm not sure why, but you can use 8.8 or use 9.0. It should be fine. I downloaded the DVD ISOL 64 course. It's just easier. There's less having to look for repos and so on. Don't forget you're going to need the username and password that you use to sign in to developers.redhat to register your Red Hat software when we install it. Now we're going to create the virtual machine. New virtual machine. Most of these settings are going to be defaults. I'm going to name this IdentityIQ 8.4. Default location. You need generation 2 for some of the settings. If you're going to use this VM, you might want to double the memory here. I'm just going to keep the default. Default switch. If you're on Wi-Fi, this may not exist in Hyper-V. You may have to have an Ethernet connection unless there's some other little tricks you can use. It's just the defaults for the location. This is where we're going to select the ISO file. We're using the DVD 64-bit. Finish. One thing that you need to do before you start it is you need to go in here to Settings, Security, and unselect Enable Secure Boot. If you have that selected, it's going to error when it tries to log into the ISO file, or when it actually tries to install. Okay, turn on the VM. Should get to the boot screen at 9.1. I'm going to pause this until it gets to the configuration screen. Again, most of these are going to be the defaults. Whoops. Need to pick a drive. I think I missed. To click it twice until the little question mark comes out. Make sure you write this down or you know what your password is going to be. I'm going to make something simple that I use all the time. It did not. You can register. This is what you're going to use when you get it from the Red Hat website. It's the same username and password. Okay, it is possible you're going to have problems registering. You have to make sure you have a subscription, even if it's the free one. It has to be there. Mine failed, but it's still letting me go forward, so we're going to go ahead and go forward with the installation. And I'll pause and come back once it's done. Okay, after a reboot, don't care about location services. I am not doing that. That is just the account that you can use. Yes, I know it's weak. Oh, thanks. I'm going to try this again. And this time it worked. So if it didn't work for you, you can try it now. That's nice. Not doing it. Terminal. Okay, this is optional for you. This is just because I am so used to Windows. It's nice. And I'm missing it. There it is. Just so I have my cheats here. Okay. Now we're going to update the OS and the host name as well, so we don't have the default. The sudo, so we do it in root or with root. If you're not familiar with Linux, that just means yes for all the prompts. That -y. All right, gonna pause again, and I'll come back once it's done. Okay, so this is how you set the host name. Apparently I'm losing it. Sudo hostname ctl set hostname, and we're going with IIQ8.4.lab.local. And I'm going to go ahead and reboot just because it's nice to have a clean start.
Okay, to enable copy and paste and file transfers from your host to your VM, we are going to install XRDP. Red Hat and Hyper-V don't get along because usually there's just a connection that will let you do it. That is not the case. So this version of Red Hat does not have XRDP repo is in there, or the software is not in there. So we're going to download the EPEL. So that's weird. I want to copy the link there. And we're doing a sudo, pasting it. Okay, so now we're going to update the repos. Now we're going to install XRDP. Okay, now we're going to install the desktop of the remote install server with GUI. And the graphical target is basically when we RDP in, it's going to go into the GUI instead of the terminal interface when we remote desktop for Windows. Okay, and the next step, the graphical interface, sorry. Sudo system. Interface. And open up the firewall for RDP. RDP is, of course, 3389. And of course, I got something wrong. Permanent add port equals. And reload the firewall. And one last thing, we're going to need to know the IP of the VM, because we're going to put that into the remote desktop. And 172.20.77.59. Desktop 7.59. Save it. Okay, we forgot to actually start XRDP. So let's go ahead and start that up. And you may have to update the IP and turn on this service again if you use XRDP again. And we are ready to log in. Okay, so now your copy and paste will work from Windows to your VM. It should make it a lot easier to go through the next steps. Okay, apparently I skipped installing the utilities in Java, so let's go back and do it. We have just set up XRDP, so now we're going to go ahead and install utilities that we're going to be needing. That's tar, unzip, wget, EMI, et cetera. No problems. Now we're going to go ahead and install OpenJDK. And after we do this, we're going to have to set up a script that will set the Java home. So it will basically know the right place to go. You can check it by doing Java version to make sure that you have the right version, but that shouldn't be a problem. All this is doing right here is basically giving you the path that you need for the Java. But I actually already have it here. So we're going to create a Java 11.shell under the profile directory, and that will basically run every time you open a shell. And we're doing it, and you need to do it as a sudo because you need the root permissions. I'm just going to copy and paste. Get rid of that space. No space there. It has to pass. Escape, right, quit. And from here on in, I'm going to sudo into root just to make things easier. There's some things that are required, like this next command just is easier to run under root. And all this is doing is basically making that script that we just created executable. And this is going to actually execute the script. And that's why I did the root, because otherwise it doesn't like the source, doing a sudo source for whatever reason. Oops, apparently I didn't copy. Do it again. It's launched, and you can check it to make sure. You just do echo Java home to see that it is set up correctly now. There it is. Java is installed. We are now going to install MySQL. So we're going to do the DNF. And then we're going to need to enable it and make it to where it runs whenever we get a reboot. That's what the D at the end for, the daemon. We're also enabling it. Okay, and this is basically setting some basic settings in it. We are not going to do the validation. That's just basically the password limits, make it 8 characters and so on. Make sure you remember your password. You're going to be using it later. Go ahead and delete the anonymous user. I say no for the remote root. You can delete the test database. You can reload the privilege tables, and it is installed. Okay. So the next part is that we're going to set up the 3 databases that we're going to be using. And for this, you can use the default names, and the default names are actually the same name as the databases. Like here, the IdentityIQ database has a username for the IdentityIQ from the SailPoint default scripts. That's how it's set up. That's just wrong to me to have the database and the username the same. But it may be easier for you if you do just use the same name as the database as the user. I'm not going to on here, but you can do it either way. So the first part is to log into MySQL as root. And you just set that password. And you're going to basically run each one of these. And let me go. This will actually create the database called IdentityIQ, and it will set the character set. Because the default character set that is set up for MySQL is not compatible with IdentityIQ, so you have to set that. This next line is creating the IIQ user, and it's setting the password to core password. The next one is basically giving full permissions to that user to the IdentityIQ database. And the last one's just resetting the permissions. The password. And there it is. And I'm going to go ahead and do these other ones offline so you don't have to watch it. It's basically the exact same thing, just you have different users and different passwords. But you will need these passwords later. Okay, I have done the other commands, and we can just show our work by doing a show databases. And you can see that the 3 databases are there. Next up is installing Tomcat. Let's get out of MySQL. We need to cd into ops. And we need to get the actual Tomcat. So let me just copy this. We will go into Firefox. Oops, 9. And there's the target, GZ. Copy the link. We're going to do a sudo wget. Paste it. All right, that puts it into the up. We're going to tar it, unpack it. And then we're going to rename the main directory because we do not want to have to type out Apache Tomcat, blah, 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 and so on. So now it's just going to be Tomcat 9. So it's just easier for all the times you're going to have to go inside that path. The next one is we're going to make all the shell scripts executable because it is not done by default. I think I need to do that as sudo. Actually, I am already root, so that will work. Okay, here's the next part that we're just going to set up the permissions, and we're going to create a Linux user account named IIQ service. This is the account that's going to be running everything that's in Tomcat, including IdentityIQ. If you can see the notes here, we're going to create a home directory. We're basically going to make it go to Tomcat instead of the usual default home IIQ service. It's going to basically make Tomcat its home directory. We're going to create a group because that group is going to get all the permissions for it. And that's where I'm setting the home directory. And it basically disables it, it's basically limiting what this account can do because it's a service account. So, and I believe this gives you a couple warnings, but it's not a big deal. It's just saying it already exists because it does already exist. All right, and now we're basically going to give everything under Tomcat. The directory Tomcat is going to be owned by that IIQ service account and the IIQ service directory, or group, not directory. So if you look at it now, you'll see that it's owned by IIQ service in the group. Okay, so in order to run Tomcat, you need to do some configurations, and that's what this Tomcat service account is going to do. Or account, file, I'm sorry. And the Tomcat service account is going to be basically doing. So we're going to open this up. We're creating a brand new file named Tomcat service under system directory, which means it's going to run every time it goes. I can give some, I know what some of these, this is just a description so you see what it is. Service forking means there's going to be, they could have multiple processors. Not everything's going to be locked under one thing. Like I said, the IIQ service group and user are the ones going to be running this. I know that's the log home. I figure you should have log after it, but I'm not worried about it right now. This is actually the Java heap size, if I'm not mistaken. And this is just shortcuts too, so you can start and shut down Tomcat. But don't follow, I'm not 100% on all that stuff, so make sure you double check if you're doing something in prod. And no, you don't have to delete all these. It's just, you know, it bugs me. Okay. And this usually sets it up correctly, but we'll go ahead and check the permissions just because the command's already here. And yes, it's read, write, write for the group, so that's good. So you don't need these next two because it is set up correctly. I think this, I don't remember what this does. Oh, you have to run this so it'll run that tomcat.service. Whoops. So that'll basically it will use all the environmental variables we just did. Now we're going to enable it, and that's where I should have sworn Tomcat had a daemon. And just to make sure everything ran right. I've done this about 5 or 10 times, so I'm guessing it's going to work. Whoops. If I copy. It did. Where's the running? Am I just missing it? That is not right. What did I do? Oh, I reloaded it. Dang it. All right, so I have to enable it since I just reloaded it and stopped it because I'm going too fast. Now it's enabled. Now we can check the status. And now it is actively running and enabled. Hooray. I just did that to check, make sure, you guys know what it looks like. All right, open the firewall and set it permanent. and reload the firewall. Okay, that's all for Apache. And let me go ahead and pause it. We're now going to download the connector, which basically is the connector between MySQL and IdentityIQ8.3. I have looked and looked and tried to figure out where you would figure out which connector you need to use, and I cannot find it at anything. Basically, I used AI and it told me that I should be using this connector, and it gave me the link, and it does work, so that's nice, but I just could not find the documentation on where it actually tells you which one you're supposed to use, which is kind of disheartening. But it works, so here it is. So I just downloaded it. Now I'm going to expand it, and we're going to move it into the Tomcat library so we can use it once we expand the war. And that's all there is to it. Okay, now we're going to download the zip file. Here's Compass. Go to Products, IdentityIQ, Product Downloads, and we're just getting a regular 8.4. This has a lot of good information here if you can get access to it. Like I said, I believe you have to be a partner or something to actually be able to do this. So we're going to download the 8.4. This will take a second, so I'll pause it. Okay, it's been downloaded. We're going to make a directory just to store these files. It's not connected to the IdentityIQ executable or anything. It's just basically for usefulness. Make sure I got that right. And now we're just going to unzip it straight from the downloads. And I'm going to cheat and just copy. Sudo unzip. All right, and it is unzipped. The war is there. So now we're going to stop Tomcat because we're about to do things inside the Tomcat folders that could cause problems. This is really just a just in case thing. It's just like I said, it may cause problems. I'm already in ops, so we're just going to copy. We're going to copy the war file. Actually, I need to be in that directory. Well, I'll just adjust it on the fly. It's true. All right, so the war file was copied over into the web apps, and we're going to basically change it to make sure it's has the right permissions for the IIQ service to run. Now, with the war file, you could actually expand it yourself, but Tomcat is basically made to expand these war files, and more importantly, if you let Tomcat do it, it will put the permissions the correct way, and it will save any time or problems that you might have from permissions. So that's why we're just going to put the war file into the web apps directory, and now we're going to restart Tomcat. And in a couple of seconds, it should show up, the IdentityIQ directory. Tomcat, web apps, and there it is, IdentityIQ. And the good thing about it is the permissions are all what they're supposed to be, and that makes it a lot easier. And we will be right back with editing the IIQ file. All right, we are to the point that messes up so many times. Okay, we're gonna edit the IIQ properties, so we'll have all the correct settings to connect to the databases, and run the scripts. So we're gonna go in and we're gonna stop Tomcat. Did I already stop it? No, we're not gonna stop it yet. We'll stop it after we do the IIQ properties. So you are going to open the IIQ properties as the IIQ service account because it's the one that has permissions. If you do it with root, you're going to have problems. You're not going to have a good time. Okay, so there's 3 databases we have to set up. The first one is the primary IdentityIQ, and as I said before, I hate having the username and the database as the same, so I have actually changed this to IIQ user, and you can encrypt your passwords using the console, but I'm not going to do that right now, but I would definitely do that if you're in the prod environment. Passwords, I know I made them pretty simple. Core password. And you need to add the plugin password. You need to add the, public key retrieval. This is required. We're required with MySQL 8 and above. You just want to make sure that you put it in the right spot. And it can be anywhere. Just make sure you don't put 2 ampersands together. That's what I mean by the right spot. See how there's only 1 ampersand. That's what you want. We're going to go down to the plugin database. And we are using the default username. I sure hope we used it. Let's double check. No, we did not. So it's the same problem. And I just don't know if that's going to cause problems. It may cause problems. I'd like to get more information about why they do that. Because it makes no sense to me whatsoever. Password plug in password. I'll come back and do the ampersand insert, but I want to go here while I still have it with me. It's IdentityIQ8, and I'm also using user. To be totally honest, for simplicity, you might not even want to change that when you're setting it up on yours. Seems to cause a lot of extra problems, but I'm worried about security if it's ever used in prod. But for a sandbox, I don't think it matters. All right, so put the key in there. That's definitely not what I do not want to do. I am going to double check that use SSL is correct up here too. So I may have just broke it. Yeah, it's USSSL. Good. Okay. Okay. Escape, write and quit. Here's open. Okay, so we're going to stop Tomcat. And now we're going to do the scripts. Let's go ahead and show the scripts really quickly. I'm not going to worry about it right now. You can look at the scripts. They're under database and they're all there. So what we're going to do here is we're going to launch MySQL using the IIQ user on just that database, on the primary database. And the reason that we're doing this, which is just a long thing to figure out what's going on, core password, is because they're in the create identities table the script. It actually has commands for all 3 databases. But of course, the IIQ user does not have access to the other databases and vice versa for all 3. So we're going to run this 3 times. So the only time that the commands, a lot of the commands will not run or you're going to get errors because the the user that we're using in MySQL does not have permissions to do those. And I would think there's a better way to do it, but this is how I got it to work, so I'm going with it. So we're basically going to do this 3 different times. And like I said, that's where you can look at the tables, and you're going to get a bunch of errors. And really, the one thing it's also going to do, it's going to create those users that we changed. Like when we run this script, it's going to create the IdentityIQ user. And you can go into the script and comment those out to where it doesn't do it. Like I said, there's just something that just did not make sense to me why they do it like that. So you may just want to keep those instead of using the other names. It's going to go through and it will take a minute and there will be errors because, like I said, you're going to see warnings about not having permissions to do that. I'm going to go ahead and pause and wait for it to finish. Okay, we're back. The other 2 will be much shorter, but don't forget you need to exit out of MySQL and you're going to log in as the plugin user now. What is it? Plugin, password. All right. And it's actually still the exact same command that you used before. Actually, I think it's going to be saved too. Yeah. So it's the exact same command, except you're going to get more errors in the beginning, but it's going to run all the tables that it needs for this database. You'll see that there are errors because it does not have access to that. We're going to exit again. This time we're going to log in for the access history database. Oh, what is it? Capital H password. Crap. H password. And again, it's the exact same command, and it's going to happen real quick because there's a lot less there. All right, so they are run. Now we're almost there, and we're going to find out if I have to re-record this all over again. First thing we're going to do is we're going to make the IIQ console executable. It is not by default straight out of the package. Then we're going to run the IIQ console as the IIQ service account, which runs everything. Don't forget, it's going to run everything with Tomcat and the identity services. And here we go, here we go. It's thinking about it. Is it going to work for me? Is it going to work? It looks like it's working. There it is. All right, so let's go ahead and import the init.xml. That's basically going to import all the information that we need. That will take a minute. I will pause and come back. Okay, we're back. It is set up. I'm going to exit out of the IIQ console. We're going to start Tomcat back up. That should take a minute. And of course, the default is the 180 IdentityIQ, login prompt true. Copy. Let's get a Firefox open. And there it is. You can see spAdmin, admin, of course. I don't care. You can basically see if plugins work by going into plugins. You don't get an error here, and plus you can do a new and just take one of the SailPoint created plugins, drop it in there and see if it works. For identities, of course, there's only one identity right now. You can go in here and look at the history tab. That means that the access history, I believe it is. I have not used it yet, so we'll see if it's there or not. So in the end, and I may re-record the intro and basically tell people not to change any of the usernames, use the default, and that will probably make your installation much easier. But since it seems odd that you would use the default, it seems like a security hole. And that is basically the installation. Um, Hope you learned something from this, and thank you for paying attention. Have a good day.